It's as radical as somebody who stood in 1910 and looked out at the world. Think of what awaited them and they didn't know. The First World War, the Great Crash, the false boom of the 20s, the rise of fascism and communism, the Second War, the Cold War thereafter. None of it could be predicted by a man unless he was a seer in 1910. I think we're standing in 2010 and we're looking out on a world. 34 countries are developing nuclear weapons. Iran will have them certainly in 2 years. They have missiles that can reach London now. North Korea has missiles that can reach the Pacific seaboard of the United States. Hundreds of millions of people are moving across continents, but in certain countries are dying. Some are remaining there to perish, others rule what remains. Most overall countries consist of a tiny bourgeois group, professionals, an elite at the top, which is usually military, and a mass. And there's really nothing in between. There's no middle class, essentially. Many people who think they've got a bit of them and a bit of vigor, they're trying to get into the West for a new life. And of course, if we've been born in those groups, people with a bit of spirit and a bit of get up and go might be doing something similar. Life isn't pleasant. People do go where they see the chance is. We have to remember certain verities about life. We have to forget the blandishments of the liberal media. We have to remember that the three parties are in favour of the same things. Clegg and Brown and Cameron all support mass migration. They all support globalisation. They all support movement of capital and labour around the world. They all support the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Liberals slightly less on the war with Iraq, that's a minor difference, but in some ways that's come and gone. They all support a membership of the European Union. They all deny the people the right to vote about the Lisbon Treaty straight constitution. Brown lied blatantly at the last election and said there would be a vote. That's revoked because they know they would lose it. So they all agree on it. Cameron said there'll be a vote, but now it's gone through, sorry. No vote. Can't do it. And in any case, they represent big capital through the CBI and the Institute of Directors and so forth, not small or middling capital. This means the last thing they want to do is to open up ideas about referendums on Europe, because it opens up the question, as UKIP do genuinely say, of whether we remain in or not. So there's another issue where they're all the same. They're all the same about Sinn Féin in government in Northern Ireland. They're all the same about essentially letting Venables and Thompson out and similar extreme and egregious crimes on the margins of society. And they're all the same pretty much about political correctness. Cameron is allegedly a member of United Against Fascism. Extraordinary. When I was born, Sir Alex Douglas Hume was Tory Prime Minister. Pretty out of touch, pretty out of aristocratic, in all sorts of ways. But you imagine a snob like him would be a member of United Against Fascism, or would give them money, is extraordinary, and shows you how this society has changed. Criticise homosexuality now, you face not imprisonment, but a fine, cultural disprivileging, disciplining, certainly if you work in the public sector. 40 to 50 years ago, the thing itself was illegal. So you see, in issue after issue, there's been a complete reversal and transformation and turnaround. In relation to ethnicity, things could be said by the Daily Express in 1966, which would land the editor in prison, or the sub-editor in prison now. And that's only 40 to 50 years. And it's changed because of the ideas of the people who've been educated. It's changed because of the ideas that went through the society after the 1960s, ideas which maybe 8 to 10% believed in now, but 88 to 90% of those who are educated believe in now. But there is one problem with the Liberal project, and that is that the bulk of the people, such as in this audience tonight, don't really go along with it. Don't always have the words to challenge it, but instinctually they reject it. And increasingly are looking for a way within the parcelling up of what passes for democracy to vote in a manner which expresses that. And if they vote Liberal, they just ramify with what exists. If they vote Tory, they do the same. If they vote Labour, they do the same. But there is a change. There are significant working class communities, particularly in the north, but also elsewhere, who have turned on Labour now. Turned on Labour semi-tribally and as a group, and hate Labour now. Many Labour activists go on estates and they have Walkman in their ears because they don't want to hear the abuse when they go to the door. Or they sort of put the leaflet through and hurry off. Or they say, sorry mate, don't have a go at me, Iraq and all that, you know what I mean, But I'm just delivering these things, it will be pizzas tomorrow, And that's how they get out of the abuse. This is a total transformation where Labour's frightened in its own areas. The Tories never seen in those areas, let's face it, you know. They don't exist. In Liverpool, you know, they come fifth. You know, Tories in Glasgow are sixth or seventh. They're a minor party. They're not a national party at all. They exist in the south of England, where I come from, in parts of the Midlands, in rural areas. Otherwise, they're just a minority party. Labour in parts of the country are a minority party, except for certain wards. There's also a certain proportion of the population that's outside politics. I knocked on a bloke's door once, canvassing, and he came out and said, "Here, mate," he said, "you got any money for drugs?" Straight out. Straight out. I just banged on his door, you know. Yeah, and I said, "No, no." And he went, "Well, F you then," he said. "I'm not voting for you." But staggered, because he was seeing several of me, you know. So staggered about and then fell back into his flat. And he's not alone, you see, because in a sense he's outside the system. He's outside the system. Even New Labour, they're a bunch of whatsits, you know. And there's a degree to which, as the society fractures, the ability of people to rely on core votes is increasingly in jeopardy. Labour have a subtext to the enormous migration they've allowed in. 90% of all post-Africans and Afro-Caribbeans, 90% vote Labour if they vote at all. 55 to 75% of all Asians, if they vote at all, and unless they're angry about a certain thing, such as an attack on a Muslim country, they vote Labour. So you see there's an inbuilt factor by the creation of these large wedges of population, as Enoch Powell once described them in a manner Trevor Phillips wouldn't care for, to vote a particular way. But there are proportions of the society now that will never vote Labour again. And even if it's only a protest vote, in the UKIP rise in middle-class areas at the European elections, you see a bourgeois protest in part against the structure. What UKIP does is they channel nationalistic feeling in a moderate and slightly faffy way. People who don't want to go outside, don't want to be accused of something, don't want to take the heat, and all the rest of it. Don't want to be described as politically incorrect, all the nasty words that go with that. So channel it through the European thing. You know, you can see for a lot of middle-class people it's a safe option for that. But the blocks are breaking, and they're cracking. And if they crack a bit more, major representation will be achieved across the society. The taking of cities like Stoke, parliamentary candidates in Westminster, certainly if the Parliament is hung, it's the best possible result for the radical right. Because it'll be hung, and PR will come, an English Parliament will come, a democratic Lords, a so-called Senate and so on will come, because at the moment the Lords is just stuffed full of Blairs and Brown's cronies. You just give Lord Desai, you know, an estimable, you know, Lord Arley, the country's first Muslim homosexual peer, as he describes himself, you know. And all these people, they're not Lords of the Manor, of course not. They're just cronies and mates of the party leaders who've been got in. Better to have a democratic assembly. And partly people get so sick of voting for all these things of an election every other week, that their radicalism will grow, and the desire to kick electorally and politically, the desire to boot the ball into the stand, the desire to vote against the Liberals, against Labour, against the Conservatives, even against the other minority parties, the Celtic nationalist parties, in their particular dispensations, will grow, and will grow, and will grow again. And there's one party that they need to vote for now and into the future, a party which is white, red, and blue, irrespective of constitutional changes that are forced from without and that will in the fullness of time actually have little effect in the way the society perceives these matters as things get more complicated. Old patriotic Labour, the social values of militant conservatism and the indigenous character of the country combined in its national emblem, there needs to be a breakthrough by one party and one party alone. And I ask you in the weeks that remain until May the 6th to vote for this party when the election comes, to leaflet for this party, to canvass for it, to buy propaganda on behalf of it, to listen for it on the media and to trawl the internet to see what is said about it, particularly when it's on the party's own vehicles, to support candidates, to put money in buckets and to give funds so that people can stand locally, regionally and nationally and internationally by Europe. And when people ask you on May the 7th, who did you vote for? You say, I voted for the British National Party. Thank you very much.